The worst part about filming YouTube videos is that I can't have my freaking fan on. Okay, let's go. Hey guys, it's Abigail. How are you? Hope you're doing well. Today we are doing my my August wrap up and my September TBR. Let's get into it. I read a lot of books in August, more than I was expecting myself to. I did do a read-a-thon, which helped greatly in increasing my book count this month. So I have a video on that if you want to go check it out. See all that good fun stuff. First book that I read in August was I finished up The Invisible Life of Addie Larue by V.E. Schwab. I don't have it with me because it was a library book. But wow, you guys, this book was phenomenal. It was so freaking good. The Invisible Life of Addie Larue is about a young woman named Addie who is born in 1700s France. She essentially makes a deal with the devil and lives forever. A very, very, very interesting story about love and loss and life. I gave this book a 5 out of 5 stars. I really, really loved it. It did take me a little bit to get into it. I had a hard time kind of starting it, but once I got into like the real meat of the story, I was hooked. I couldn't put it down. It was just a truly fantastic read. It was one of the only books I found that I've read so far in my reading career that is able to very seamlessly switch between time periods, because it switches between 1700s, 1800s to like 2014. And it was done in such a way that was so beautiful, where everything was connected and supported each other. It was so beautifully done. I highly recommend picking up The Invisible Life of Addie Larue. It was so good. The next book I read was Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I read this as part of my read-a-thon, and this was also a 5 out of 5 stars from me. I freaking love this book. I loved Daisy Jones and the Six. I loved this. This was easily one of the best books that I've read this entire year. This book is set in Malibu in August of 1983. It is the annual Riva end of summer party. It is just chaotic and beautiful and so heart-churning. It's about family and life and finding yourself and growing up and moving on. She has a way of writing that makes you feel like you're part of the story. Like, I felt like I was part of the Riva family. I felt the love and the connection and the support and the everything from these characters. And she just writes characters that are so lovable, so relatable, so you just want them to be real. Like, you just want them to be your best friend. 5 out of 5. Love this book. Mwah. Chef's kiss. So good. The book I read was also part of my read-a-thon, and it is Ain't Burned All the Bright by Jason Reynolds, artwork by Jason Griffin. It's kind of more of a poetry book than like a novel, really, but it is also a novel. Do they even classify this as a novel? This book is about COVID and the Black Lives Matter movement. It's kind of in a more abstract way. It's a lot about family and about loving and losing and kind of finding ways to find levity in hard times and leaning on the people closest to you to provide you with support and comfort when things are really tough. It took me like all of like 20 minutes to read this. It was very good. It was very interesting. I think I gave it, let me see. We're gonna see what I gave it on Goodreads because I forgot. I gave this book a 4 out of 5 stars only because, you know, it was a little more abstract than kind of what style I like. I just kind of felt like I wanted more. To be fair, I'm not that good at like reading and understanding themes of poetry, so that's, you know, part of it. I did really enjoy this book. I don't think I'd buy it, but if it's at your library, I think it's worth picking up. Like I said, it took me like 20 minutes to read it, so it's something you could add to your TBR if you're interested. I really enjoyed it. The next book I read, I also read as part of my read-a-thon, and it was my last read-a-thon book. It's called A Very Large Expanse of Sea by Tahira Mafi. I really enjoyed this book more than I was expecting. I have read Shatter Me. I didn't read the whole series. I didn't even finish the first book because I did not like it that much, which I've joined Book Talk. So I've joined like book TikTok, and I'm finding that not liking Shatter Me is a very unpopular opinion. I didn't really like it, okay? I saw it at the bookstore, and I thought it looked very interesting, and then I saw it was by Tahira Mafi, and I was a little bit kind of put off of it, but I did think it sounded interesting, so I decided to pick it up for my read-a-thon, and I'm actually really, really glad I did. This book is about a 16-year-old Muslim girl in 2002 living in the post-9/11 era, going to high school. She's at a new high school, and she meets a boy, and it gets really chaotic and really sad. I cried. It did make me very sad. This book is a lot about family and about, you know, obviously prejudice and overcoming that, the sacrifices we make for people we love, of breakdancing. There were moments that gave me a little bit of cringe because they reminded me of like Jump In from Disney Channel, if you know what I'm talking about, the Double Dutch movie, because she had to like explain breakdancing terms, and it just gave me a little bit of the cringe. But I did really enjoy reading this. I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars. Definitely geared for younger audiences, and you can tell in the way the writing is done. Would I probably read another one of Tahira's books? Maybe not, but I am glad that I gave her a second chance because I did enjoy reading this. And the last book I read in August was The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelites. I don't know if I'm saying his last name right, but guys, if you have not read this book, pick it up. This is also one of the best books I've read all year. This book is freaking crazy. It is a mystery, psychologically twisting thriller. Super, 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 super good. So it's about this woman named Alicia Bernenson who kills her husband. That's not a spoiler. You learn it on the first page. She gets admitted to a psych hospital called The Grove in London, and the story is told through the perspective of Theo Faber, who is a psychotherapist, and he gets a job at The Grove specifically to help Alicia and be kind of, as the story goes on, unfold her life and the events leading up to the murder of her husband. I can't say too much about it because I don't want to spoil like literally anything. I want you to figure it all out on your own. But like, wow, pick this up. 5 out of 5 freaking stars. So good. I don't know if he has other books, but if he does, I want to read them. Pick up The Silent Patient if you haven't yet. If it's on your TBR, put it at the top of the list. So good. Read it. So that is the wrap up for August. It was a very good reading month for me. It's not entirely done because I'm filming this on the 26th because I have to return those 2 library books. I really enjoyed a lot of the books that I read. I recommend all of them. You know, obviously do your research, figure out your vibe, but a really good month for me. I'm feeling very satisfied. Now it's time for the September TBR. It's a short list. I'm not overly ambitious with my TBRs and with my general goals about my reading life. I don't want to put any pressure on it or like force myself to read or like hit some arbitrary number that's not relevant to anyone. I'm not trying to impress anybody. But yeah, let's get started with my September TBR. First, I have The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. I actually already started this. I'm on page 24, but I'm finding it really interesting so far, and also something that's really like not that important. But this book feels very nice in my hands. Like when I hold it, it's very like, I don't know if it's like smaller or if I'm just feeling like it's a little bit smaller because the way that the like centering on the pages, like it's very all centered. I don't know, it's just like very nice to hold in my hands, which I'm really enjoying, which is a really silly thing, but it just like feels nice. I don't know. I might honestly finish that before September hits, but for the sake of the video, it's in my September TBR. So next on my TBR is The Westing Game by Evelyn Raskin. This is a children's book, I believe. I don't know. I remembered it because I read it in the 7th grade and I remember really enjoying it. And so I wanted to go pick it up and read it again. So this dude named Samuel Westing who gets murdered, and he invites these 16 people who I'm pretty sure all live in the same apartment building, which is next to his house, to read his will. And like basically no one knows who the will is left to, but they have to figure out who murdered him and who is inheriting his fortune to get the money. I don't know. I remember reading this and really enjoying this, so that's why I picked it up. It was only like $9. This is on the TBR. I'm into mysteries right now. I'm having a little mystery moment. And I also really like the cover. I don't know if you can see. Next on the TBR, which I'll probably read kind of towards the end of September to capitalize on the October spooky vibes, is The Final Girl Support Group by Grady Hendricks. So if you don't know what a final girl is, a final girl is the girl who was the last person standing at the end of a horror movie. She's the one who's, all her friends die. She is the last one left to defeat the demon or the psychopath or whatever. She battles him out, she kills him or gets rid of him or something, and she's covered in blood, and she like walks out of the house and the cops are like, bad night, and she's like, yeah, whatever. That's the final girl. I'll put a picture. You know who the final girl is, right? And that's what this is. So this is about a support group for women who have been through horrible, horrible things and survived them. And someone finds out about the support group and starts to kind of wreak havoc on their life and is again trying to kill them and hurt them and just ruin their lives once more. And they gotta take care of it. I don't know. But I'm very excited to read this. I don't know how I'll feel because this feels more like a horror. And I'm not really into horror, but I thought it would be interesting. I'm kind of excited about it. I'm trying to branch out a little bit in like the kinds of books I read. To be determined if I'll like it, but I am excited to read it because I do love me a final girl. The last book on the TBR should come as a shock to no one. The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I'm obsessed with Taylor Jenkins Reid. I love Malibu Rising. I love Daisy Jones and the Six. And I'm like the only human being on the internet who has not read this book yet. Every TikTok, book talk girly recommends this book. I have not read it yet. I actually have no idea what the hell it's about. I just know it's written by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and so far she has not let me down. I'm very excited to read this. One thing got me, I'm gonna read a Taylor Jenkins Reid book. So there we go. I also heard that McRiva makes an appearance in this, like he did in Daisy Jones and the Six, and I'm excited to see where else we expand in the McRiva cinematic universe. Alrighty guys, that is the wrap up. That is a TBR. I'm very excited about all the books I have to read in September. I had a really good reading month in August. I read 5 books, which is like more than I've read in any month this year. Please let me know what books you read in the past month. Give me some recommendations. Let me know what you thought about them. And also let me know what books you plan on reading in September, because for these next 4 books, I have literally no idea what to read next. So let me know what books you've been loving, what books you plan on reading, your recommendations, literally all the good things, because I need more books to read. Also, if you want to be friends on Goodreads, it's linked below. Add me. We can be friends. Keep up with each other, see what each other's reading. And yeah, alrighty guys, that was the video. Thank you so much for watching. All the good things. Like, comment, subscribe. You know the deal. Okay, mwah, love you guys.